Welcome to the CEO Bros Podcast, After Hours, with Brian Baldoff, co-founded, grew, and sold VHT Studios. Brad Baldoff, CEO and co-founder of By Your Side Autism Therapy Services. Matt Croak, the consummate entertainer, jack of all trades, and serves as our host.
I always wanted to do this. So thank you, first of all, for turning on your cameras last minute. First of all, cheers. This is not one of our normal recording days, but we were having a pre-show discussion and a debate broke out. And I said, hold on, let's record this because I think it's interesting. It started, I think we're going to talk about pivoting. It started because Brian...
but you know what? Talking about pivoting, Matt, you started to even go down that path. You remember when I brought up to you guys about gravy, like referring to gravy, and you even said like, "Wow,
you called it sauce or what was it?"
Yeah, I called Italian marinara sauce, which we think of a marinara sauce, and I said, "Oh, do you call it gravy or sauce?" And you guys like literally like just lambasted me for that. Like, I cannot believe that you're calling gravy, and then we subsequently have had a couple people have mentioned that there's accuracy to that statement. And instead of either of you guys saying, "Hey, Brad, you actually got that right on the gravy side," you know what Brian said in the last discussion? He said, "Yeah." And then Brad goes to Italy and doesn't even ask him. I don't have to go to Italy and ask him. I thought about this after the fact. It's like, I've already proven marinara sauce can be called gravy by a subset of Italians. So Brian, officially apologize right now in front of the world.
Well, I'm not going to apologize.
There we go. That's the apology I was looking for.
I'm going to call it sauce, and I'm going to call it gravy. Gravy.
But it's not about what I eat. It's not about what you call it. It's about acknowledging that there are people out there that do call it gravy.
You can find people who call anything. Pop, soda.
Wow. So pivoting away from this topic, Matt, you guys wanted to talk about something that I was like, I didn't even know was a pivot.
Because previously, the reason I had you turn on your cameras, because just like that apology, Brian goes, reading up on the downfall of Chipotle and all. And Brad, you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And Brian's like, no, it's this big thing. So let's turn on the cameras. I think this is a great topic, whether it's Chipotle or we spill it into other businesses. Chipotle is going through something. Brian, you can start off because you kind of have more knowledge, where they're either not adapting to the changes of online orders or how they're marketing that or other instances. So you want to kind of kick us off on the Chipotle?
Can I preface though, the Chipotle situation and the pivoting you guys are mentioning does not have anything to do with the E. coli problems they were having with the food or people getting sick from the food. None of that. We're not talking about problems they were having with contamination of food. They were having several problems with that. You're talking about an unrelated issue to whether or not the consumer at the store is the real consumer or the consumer ordering online. Is that the pivot they need to make? Is that what you guys are referring to?
Well, that's right. One of them. I mean, I think, this started as a rant, and we'll cover that. And then we just kind of discussed how businesses do need to make changes based on new behaviors, new technology. So Chipotle is just one case study that we're going to rip on, or I'll rip on. Brad can protect him if he wants to move.
By the way, this is officially going in. I know this is a Zoom call, so our next meeting we'll have to put Chipotle in the X column of advertisers.
Amber, who's not anywhere near the Studio G, we're not in Studio G. Amber, if you can hear us in the distant virtual world, if you can put a big X on Chipotle as Brian yet torpedoes yet another company that we have no shot. Even though I was talking about E. coli, that probably doesn't help them.
That doesn't help.
About E. coli.
Right.
So I went down that path already, but Brian gets the big X on this one. I mean, this is Brian pushing them to the right side, but okay, Brian.
But to be fair, the reason we brought up, it's not that we're here to rant and go against Chipotle. There are, I believe, in some instances I have, some fundamental questions I have about customer service and some pitfalls that entrepreneurs can avoid that I'd love to hear your take on it. So this isn't a rant. This is a educational session on about either adapting or taking care of your customer.
Yeah, there's business lessons. And this gets back to the original idea behind CEO Bros. When Brad and I used to have these discussions and we could go, for hours, and we said, okay, if we could pull the best bits out of that, it would be educational, hopefully it would be entertaining. And like you said, you noticed us starting one before we even got going. So, I think this actually started with the issue of you place an order.
I will say I am hungry. Now we're talking about Chipotle. I have not had dinner. I have not had anything to eat. I'm thinking about 3 tacos or a burrito bowl, something. And you guys are talking bad about Chipotle. Please.
Well, I go to Chipotle a lot, which is part of my pet peeve. Part of my problem is what I'm experiencing and what I have. I'm actually a constant consumer there, and that's something I've seen that I have questions for you guys later. So,
please educate me, guys. I want to know what's going on with Chipotle, other than the fact that they've had some issues with food contamination, people getting sick from bacterial E. coli type situation that I've heard in the news about them. But what else is going on now should we be discussing around Chipotle? Because I'm all game. I like them.
Right. So just real quickly, the E. coli, I'm going to avoid talking about our infamous pool sign. We'll just set that one aside.
Please keep that aside.
So yeah, this actually started with a rant on fast food places that when you place your order, they turn the screen around and ask you to tip. And I kind of said to Matt, like, what am I tipping on? All I did was place an order. I don't even know how the sandwich is going to taste. And so I brought that up to, some friends and family, and they said, well, when you order Uber Eats and things like that, if you don't put a tip in, no driver is going to pick up your order.
You're going to get a big hocker on the food you do get, and you're not going to know why.
So Matt mentioned that the word tip stands for I can't.
Wait. Oh, Brad, do you know the what tip means from way back when?
No, please enlighten me.
To ensure promptness. It used to be you go into a restaurant way back in the 20s, 30s. There'd be you would put money in the box before you even sat down, and then those who were more well off would get better service than those who did not put money in the box. So you actually would tip beforehand to ensure promptness.
Thanks, Matt. That's actually maybe that's what we should add as part of these guys. These little fun facts, like when I was explaining to you guys, like why you can't have ketchup on hot dogs in Chicago. That'll be another episode. We'll talk about it. Why there's no ketchup on Chicago hot dogs. But that's a great one. You would tip ahead of your meal to ensure promptness, the acronym TIP.
So I challenge Brian saying, I could see it, because why is someone going to waste their gas? They're doing that if they know ahead of time they're not getting a tip. So in some ways we think a tip after, but in many cases it is prior.
Well, it's like giving the concierge or the front desk money to get a better table. I never think of that as a tip. I think of it as a bribe, but
tips are, I don't know. I think they're the same.
We are from Chicago, right?
So, I think tips are bribes.
But anyway, so then it led to what I heard was several people said there's a noticeable difference in the quantity of food that you get from Chipotle if you go into the store versus if you order. And when you order and get it delivered, they're chincing on the food. You just get less meat, less fillings, and things like that.
And let me level set. So you're essentially saying, again, this is all new to me. If I'm a consumer, I'm walking through a Chipotle store and I'm watching them make my tacos, or I'm watching them make my burrito bowl. I'm seeing what they're putting on. I can actually observe and like actually gauge, like, hey, you're not putting enough meat on, and say, hey, put more beef, put more chicken, put more barbacoa, I think, right? And
more sauce.
What you're saying, thank you. Okay, and then what you're saying is, if I were to call Chipotle and order a to-go order, a delivery order, or a pickup order, that order you're suggesting is not getting anywhere near the product, the meat, the condiments, anything. They're shortchanging all that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think anybody actually calls them the order anymore. I think they just do it on their phone. But yes, that's the premise
Well,
here.
number one, you're not there to monitor it, like you said, Brad. And number two, and listen, I saw Subway go through it. I remember when Subway first opened, the meat you would have on there, and then I saw the noticeable difference where something came from above, and it was like one thin slice, and then became, oh, then the double meats. You want double meat? It's more money. Like that,
Right.
you see that after a while sometimes.
So this leads to, I'll jump ahead. Matt can tell you his side of the story because I think there is an interesting dichotomy between a fan who complains about something that they like, which is great. I used to love to have customers, loyal customers who would complain to me about something because then I knew exactly what I could improve and they were passionate enough that they were willing to tell me as opposed to people like myself who I hate it and I just complain about it. I'm never going to eat at Chipotle. I'll just complain about it. But they are also owned by a PE firm, and so this is another maybe a separate topic. But you're hearing more.
Let's not insult our private equity partners that are out
No,
there.
no, most of them are great, but
Okay.
they're developing a reputation for being more about efficiency than quality. So they'll take a restaurant or a service org because PE firms are getting more into the service business than ever before. And there's so much money out there that they're looking further downstream. They're getting into service businesses and they're looking for efficiencies. Well, customers,
Brian, you're getting at a general theme that's out there that we can actually talk maybe in a future episode about private equity investment, that there's a theme or a concept that if a private equity firm gets involved, that yes, you got big money behind you, but because they're working for productivity, they're looking for efficiency, they're looking for KPIs, that there is a thought that obviously quality is out the door or quality will degrade as they work on the financial metric side of things. And you're saying in the case of Chipotle, hey, let's get more efficient. Let's find a way to get a taco out the door using less, or a burrito out the door using less condiments, less meat, less everything, and charge the same price. You're saying that that is happening at Chipotle. Is that what you guys are saying? Is that that's occurring? Is that why it's in the news?
That's
right
not
now?
my experience.
no, that's kind of different, but that is occurring there and other places. And sometimes it's not the quality; it's just the thing that made this place great is no longer there. They don't throw in the extra straw or the cherry on top of your sundae. Little touches like that made a place famous start to get cut, and it just becomes vanilla and cookie cutter.
Well, the
And you're seeing
customers
that in
cut a
everything.
huge loophole. What was it? They would do a bowl, and then when they just go, oh, can you just throw in a tortilla? And then you're basically getting a burrito
In
they
a
would make
bowl.
on their own, and then Chipotle now charges you for that. And that was a big outcry. And Chipotle said, look, you guys were just manipulating the system. You were getting a burrito, but you were putting it together. So we are going to charge you now for that tortilla, where they just used to give it to them. So I'm a little sympathetic on that point.
Now, what prompted the discussion between you and Brian to engage in Chipotle? What was it there specifically that you
Well, Matt's
guys?
got an issue.
Yeah, because he was talking
Details.
about that aspect with the food. And I said, as a consumer, what frustrates me is I am so happy that after COVID, they have found a very robust online business and they have not turned back. Good for them. They have never and still have not either put together a different kitchen, a different counter. And so now as a consumer, I go in, I'm two people away in line. I'm looking at my watch. I'm on lunch break. I get up there and there are 5 takeout tickets in front of me. And the person who doesn't make eye contact, it'd be great to go, you're number 3, you're number 4, we'll be right with you. They're looking down, they do one order, still looking down. And I go, am I 6th in line? Like, am I first in line? And I know that's more on the consumer, but they haven't figured that out. And my honest question, I'm not leading, I really don't know the answer. As a corporation, is the person in front of you more or less or equal as important as someone on the phone who makes an order? Just because I'm in person, should I jump? Because then they're going to come in late. They're going to come in to pick up the order. It's not going to be ready. They're going to be mad. Like, I ordered. And they're like, well, we got people here. What is that sweet spot?
I've always thought in person should get first. I mean, you're there in person. They can just tell the delivery person it's going to be an extra 5 minutes. We're really busy. And I ran a service business for 25 years. when a person's right there in front of you, to not look at them, not say hello, or not even say, hey, you know what, we're backed up. I mean, this gets to that other conversation we were having about secondary impacts. Like, Brad, now you've got employees that are coming back late from lunch.
Hey, we have no employees coming back late from lunch. Hey, everybody that's out there from by your side, you guys are doing great. And what my brother's saying down here from his retirement village, he doesn't know what he's talking about. But the thing is, what I would say is, I will defer with Brian a little bit in that every customer is the same in my view, is that we have to, you cannot differentiate between what customer, and I'm not saying Brian does this, but I'm saying the way we view every customer in my mind has got to be treated the same, whether the person's in front of me, the person's on the phone, the person's on the wait list, the person just concluded services, the person's just starting services. I view the customer as they all have valuable feedback to provide in the experience they've had with your company to date. And yes, you're absolutely correct. Somebody in front of me could be more vocal. There seems like there's more sense of urgency. But I think that it's important that if you're not contemplating your customer at various stages and where they're at, I view every customer the exact same way. And you know what? Maybe that's maybe that's from it's thinking too optimistically. Like, how can you take care of every customer at the same way in the same mode? You got to figure it out.
Well, I think, Matt had a good suggestion. Like, have a second counter or a second kitchen.
Right, because that doesn't have to be people interfacing. Have a separate counter of ingredients where you're not taking any orders from people. You're reading a ticket, so you can even make that small.
But Matt, that would be a great example of viewing every customer the same way. It's on you as the business to determine, like, you can't lose those waitlist customers in the course of our business. You can't lose those phone customers, those live customers. You need every customer. Revenue is the salve that heals all wounds. I say it all the time. So if you zeroed in on a certain customer over another, you're going to run into issues because you need every one of those customers. So it's actually on the business to figure out, well, how do we accommodate? And I think your idea or hey, quick suggestion. Could they have another counter? Could they have another kitchen? Could they have somebody working on that? It's actually kind of interesting that Chipotle hasn't figured that out yet. I mean, if that's really what's happening, I'm sure that if we asked a Chipotle representative, they'd say, we've got that figured out. What are you guys talking about? Just think about, for example, a Portillo's, right? Based out of Chicago, that was sold to Berkshire Hathaway. They have, I think, 42, 44 stores nationwide. They put a premium on customer coming in and customer going through the drive-through, two separate, two separate operations, and they care equally about either customer, whether you're going through the drive-through or you're coming up to the counter. Every customer is important, right? And so I think your point, Matt, that I'm learning is that Chipotle hasn't figure that out. They don't have really a dedicated team for handling all these online and phone orders. You're saying that the person that's walking you through, popping you through, doing the 3 tacos and putting them together for you is the same person that's putting together phone orders.
Right.
That's a problem. Yeah, that's a big problem.
And for those of you who want to be business owners or leaders, make sure you tell your staff, as silly as it is, talking about healing all wounds, if you look up, make eye contact and say, just got hit with busy phone orders, we are going to get to you, we're going to hustle. That changes my attitude a little bit. But when I'm being ignored, I'm like, I guess I'm waiting for what if 3 more tickets come in? I have no idea what's happening.
See, and it's funny, it's interesting because I've had this thought for a long time that way too many companies don't have a single person accountable for the client experience, the overall client experience. Like, to me, that's such an important position in a company, to own the client experience from the whole. Because what happens, like, I can picture at Chipotle what's happened is they've always been a counter service. They've got operations people. They do great training and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden COVID hits and the online ordering's taken off and they start getting complaints. my orders are taking too long, my order's not right, blah, blah, blah. And so somebody from the online side of the business says, hey, you got to do the orders in the order, take the orders in the order they come in. Because how many times have you seen? I mean, I've seen this a million times back in the days when people would pick up the phone and call. I've seen presidents of companies say, you cannot let the phone ring. Like your number one priority is to answer the phone. And then as a customer, I'm talking to somebody at the counter and they go, oh, I got to get the phone. I'm like,
that customer is more important.
WTF? It's like, because there was a policy issued by somebody who's not responsible for the overall client experience. They were just peeved that their sister or cousin or somebody called in once and the phone rang 32 times. And so to Brad's point, put a policy in place. Don't just, screw one type of customer for another. If you've got orders coming in via phone, via, internet, in person, someone's got to own that entire experience to make sure it's consistent across all three methods and that you're not screwing one customer for another.
Well, that's why, but Brian, that's why I was contesting you though on the live person in front of you. Yes, they're obviously critically important and you have to take care of them. My whole point was no matter where the customer is on your wait list, phoning in an order, a delivery on a food order, someone in front of you, they're all equal of importance because guess what? That phone order person that waited 20 minutes on the phone, you didn't have a plan in place, that person is just as likely to put a poor review online about your company than the person right there in front of you. So, Matt, you have an absolute right to complain. You're sitting there saying, well, how many customers are ahead of me? But if I'm on the phone and calling, it's like, don't you guys have somebody to answer the phones? I mean, I guess my point is there's really, if you start prioritizing customers, you have a problem. You really have got to have a solution for all types of customers. And it's on the business to figure that out, right? And by the way, this podcast is now prompting me to think about our own business and Matt discussions we will have around the client experience because we probably in certain ways, just by default, probably cater to clients that are in front of us or clients that are next up. But what about the clients that have been waiting, or what about the clients that just finished? I mean, it should be about the entire experience. And when we have discussions like this, it really gets you thinking about like, hey, can we be doing this better? Is there a better mousetrap to handle it? So Matt, going back to the original point, so that was what was prompting you on Chipotle. Brian, what was your Chipotle beef?
Well, it's Brian first. He went off on that, and then I added. I gave mine because mine wasn't that passionate. Brian's was passionate.
It's funny
he's getting to be He's getting to be a very disgruntled. He says the rant, but he rants more and more since he's been retired. Aren't you supposed to be happy? You're by the ocean. I see you're sitting on the ocean. You're retired. I would think you're
it turned out that ranting about stupidity makes me very happy. And
quickly, you mentioned Portillo's, and I just had this thought while we were having this discussion. Portillo's is known for having this great chocolate cake. That's kind of their favorite, and they've got slices all over. One thing I've noticed is they've taken that slice of chocolate cake, and that is their go-to. Sorry for the way, but have a piece of chocolate cake. I think I've gotten 3. I have a big family. I think I've gotten 3 or 4 pieces of free chocolate cake because of a screwed up order. Chipotle's got those chips. They can put smaller bags. Sorry, you waited. Here's some bags. Like there are those little things that you can just give somebody a freebie. And Portillo's is very smart about utilizing their famous chocolate cake and using it as a sorry for the wait, sorry for the misunderstanding. And people go, oh, all right. And I got cake, and they walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Would you guys say this discussion? I mean, this discussion kind of came about quickly, resulting from a debate. We are really kind of hammering in on the client experience.
The client experience,
we're not really talking about pivoting. That's a whole nother topic, right? I mean, I thought when you guys started talking about pivoting, I was thinking, and maybe this will be a whole nother episode. We don't have to go into it, but I was thinking like pivoting from the standpoint of, you're going down a path. You think you're the best at it, and then you realize like you don't realize like the world is changing around you, i.e., I think of like Blockbuster
Good
Video. A
example.
lot of those people don't, maybe younger people don't realize that there was a video cassette rental place that you went in, you picked your favorite movie, you brought the video home, you put it in the recorder and you watched it. And they kept pumping into more and more stores. And along comes Netflix. And I think it was Redbox, or there was something that came
Redbox.
along
Yep, Redbox.
In
right after
between.
Blockbuster, and they completely got caught, flat-footed. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe we can have an episode and talk about pivoting. Like, are you keeping an eye on the things that you need to keep an eye on to ensure that your business stays relevant? I would think that was where we're heading, but where this has gone is really the client experience.
You're right, because I had those kind of things too. You're right, but this is really now the more we talk about it, because I also think of Barnes and Noble. When Borders got knocked out, it was a foregone conclusion that Barnes and Noble was going to go out of business. Amazon, you're going to get your books, and then Barnes and Noble started building coffee shops. They started putting couches in there. And now Barnes and Noble is a destination play. They put games in their toys. I mean, they really did alter. And I still am, people say Sears, J.C. Penney's, the downfall of those, stores. I'm not sure they pivoted enough. I don't know if it was foregone that they would have, it's closed as well. I think J.C. Penney's and Sears are.
So are we closing? I mean, are we wrapping on client experience?
No,
no,
I'm sorry.
No, I got a couple other thoughts on client experience.
No, keep going to client experience.
Let's keep it around client
This
experience.
was not supposed to be
We'll pivot later. We'll pivot some other time.
This was not supposed to be a rant on Chipotle, but it was a little bit of a failed pivot in that they did not manage the online orders yet properly. And you asked me what my beef was. My original beef with Chipotle was their beef makes me sick.
Well, that's the E. coli problem.
Probably, yeah.
You have literally just dismissed it as it's nothing.
Well, no, I don't think I had E. coli. I think it was just they used bad beef, period. Anyway, so but customer experience, and what's great about us being at home is I can use all the tools I've gotten. This gua sha thing from Sarah, I use this every day now. I don't know if I'm looking any better, but
I use the gua sha too.
Sarah.
Yeah, well, let's give a plug to Sarah Fragus from Filterless Era. We spoke with her not too long ago, and she taught us the gua sha. Brian, I think, said, "Is it wash on?" We said, "No, it's gua sha."
Gua sha. Now I know gua sha. Yeah,
and Brian, it's getting the buildup of fluids.
Right. I hope I'm looking better. I look sunburned, but
oh my gosh, I brought home my daughter's that lipstick scrub. I was a rock star. So thank you, Sarah, for making me.
Yeah, Sarah's a good example of
making me be a rock star to my kids.
Sarah's a good example of good client experience. But so the thing you reminded me of was at VHT Studios, we went through this all the time. You said every client's the same, but I think the more important thing you said is you got to figure out how to deal with different types of clients. Because I was immediately going to go, well, what about the airlines? Every client is different. There's 8 different types of clients on an airplane based on how much business. And we had that issue at VHT. We had some clients that would do $100,000 a year in business with us, and they would be stuck on the phone behind somebody who orders once a year and spends $90 with us. And we said, that is unacceptable. Like we've got to figure out a system to separate those people, a fast lane for our best customers, the people who spend more money with us, who refer us to, their associates and help us bring in new business. And so our team spent a lot of time figuring out not how to, diss the guy who only ordered once a year, but to improve the experience for the person who's ordering, $100,000 a year and provide them with a fast lane and additional perks and things like that. And I think we did a pretty good job of it. It's not easy. And I see a lot of companies that mess that up.
Well, it's inherently on the company to have to figure that out. It's to the point of there's no customer that should feel like when Matt was just saying, he's like, I'm in the Chipotle line. Am I behind 3 tickets? Am I behind a caller? Am I your most important customer? Matt shouldn't have to feel that way at any retail or any business for that matter. It's like your customer should feel like they're the most important person to that business at that point in time, whether they're a phone in call and they're sitting on a wait list, whether they are purchasing a product on the spot, whether they're in the bricks and mortar store or they're making an online sale. It's every customer needs to be valued the same way, and that's why I was extremely zeroing in on that aspect of it, because that's how I view customers. And I think the reality is that for if you're an entrepreneur out there and that's not on your mind, you better, because you better zero in and think about that. Is that not, hey, we got a customer, that's great. We got a customer, can we get them to repeat? Not only can we get them to repeat, what about the customer you lost? What about the customer that's waiting? What about the customer that's on standby? Wherever that customer is, you better have a dedicated plan, an attack plan for that customer. And that's the way I view it, because every one of those customers is going to potentially keep bring another customer, same profile to you. And you need every one of them. Every customer is critically important, so it's actually interesting that you guys brought that up about Chipotle, because I had no idea.
If you go online, there's all kinds of stories. The rise and fall of Chipotle, what happened to Chipotle, the rise, fall, and rise again of Chipotle. It's an interesting case study, but
right. You should get around to those stories after I'm in like episode 5 of Sons of Anarchy or something.
Yes.
Do you think, I don't know how we doing on, I don't want to bring up a new topic, but do you think that they have
but I'm going to anyway.
Wait, so how are we at time?
Yeah, no, we're fine, I think.
Okay. Do you think so? When we talk about the online orders and they're not getting as much food, do you view that as it's a cutting back problem, or it's so heavily dependent on who's working? Because even in a business like Chipotle, not just that one, whoever's there, I notice the rations are different. I used to get mad when I saw restaurants, whatever, like have it measured down to the nth degree. But now I'm more sympathetic being on this podcast, because as I listen to business owners, I go, consistency. They just want, look, they get this amount of beef, they get this amount of lettuce, and I don't see that with a Chipotle. So is there issue?
No, Matt, I can with that, I can rest assured, I can tell you that there is a systematic, there is an operating procedure in place that says when you scoop out beef, you're going to take half a spoonful, you're going to pour. When you go to lettuce, you're going to grab. They have it down to the science.
Okay.
How much now whether or not an employee's going rogue, manager's not listening, that's something that you deal from a disciplinary action, from a CEO, a COO perspective in carrying out those. But I can rest assured, Chipotle's corporate office is sending out specific directives as to exactly how much food is distributed, because they know down to the penny how much that
But those
costs.
spoons are so stupid. Those spoons are so big. Like, I get so much inconsistency on sour cream to lettuce to like these. I don't know. I agree with you, but I don't know if it's being executed.
It was funny. Speaking about the customer experience, I remember way back when, Brian, I don't know if you remember them when we were talking about McDonald's had this gigantic brainstorming session about what are all the things they could change. Like if they had all their marketing, product development, everybody was in this room. I remember reading up about it. It was like a case study written about it. And they got together and they said, what are all the things that upsets a McDonald's customer? And they were talking about is like as small as like when you have a salad that the little plastic forks would crack when they were so flimsy they would crack. Like,
oh no, did we lose Brad?
I think we did.
I remember that story. We lost you for a second.
Their milkshakes they talked about like how when you sucked shake through the straw that you couldn't get enough through, so they wanted to widen how much the straw was so you could get more shake through. I mean, they went down to the minuscule.
As he's frozen, I will say though, but I do notice that at McDonald's. McDonald's
cracks, and that's sort of the thing they were talking about. Is like, what are the experiences you have as a client at McDonald's? It sounds like Chipotle needs to have something similar to that, right? Like what are the things that are frustrating a customer, and then how do you change it, right? To you accommodate your business to the client. The client doesn't. The client doesn't. You know, kowtow to what you want. You have to kowtow to what the client wants. So
It's funny.
it's
I'm sure
interesting.
McDonald's is like a punching bag or so common, but even today, my observations, they seem to have everything you mentioned. That turnkey, that's one that they seem to have consistent, same thing every time.
I'll diss another
Yeah.
fast food potential sponsor.
Sure, great. I hope I don't like them.
I
Bring it
used
on.
well,
We
the
can't
same
wait.
Not Jersey
category.
Mike's. Do
Brian's
not
like,
ruin
what?
Jersey
Brian's
Mike's
like,
for me.
what's the problem with our sponsors? What? Because you're bashing them.
Do not ruin
I
Jersey
used
Mike's
to
for me.
love Burger King. The flame grilled burger is like the way a burger should be made. But the last few years, when I'm going to give them another shot. I'm going to try again. Maybe it's been fixed. It looks like a 2-year-old has put the burger together. There's just stuff sliding out the side. The buns are crooked. Like nothing's applied correctly. You take a bite, and one side it's all mustard. The other side's all ketchup. I'm like, who? What? Like, there's a saying in business. Eat your own dog food. Like you have to. I always wonder about these companies. Like, is the founder still there for one thing? Because usually the founder is the most passionate. Otherwise, it's like a finance person's running this business and they never actually eat there. They never stay there at the hotel. They never buy product at the retail location. Because some of these things seem so obvious to people. I mean, there's issues that, okay, the systems went down or this happened or that happened, but it's systemic issues with customer service and customer experience when you're in a service business. There's just no excuse for it. Like,
Well, Brian,
there's a lot of competitors.
There's a lot of Burger King franchisees, from my understanding, are going bankrupt. So Burger King is dealing with a lot of bankruptcy right now within their franchisee model. I'm not sure how
When they try to make up for it
well
with
known that is again.
product and promotions and advertising and things like that, it's like, do what McDonald's did. Look at the actual customer experience and fix the little things that,
You're right.
because you have a loyal base, you have people who have bought into, better burger or whatever. But when you deliver it and it looks like, again, a 2-year-old put it together.
But well, the takeaway I would from this call, guys, what I would take is, and maybe we can talk about pivoting in another call. I think from a client experience standpoint, my takeaway from this is that, you can't take any client for granted. Every client's important. And even the littlest details matter, right? Because I mean, think about Matt's experience at Chipotle. I just brought up like at McDonald's, they went into like the strength of the plastic fork and how wide the straw was. Brian, you're just talking about Burger King, like, hey, it doesn't seem like it's the same anymore. You got the right idea, should be flame broiled, but buns coming in sideways, not putting a pickle in. What all those little things matter, and it's all about the customer experience. And it could be the one thing that drives, a loyal customer from your brand to somebody completely different. That's what I would take away. And for those that are out there that are aspiring to be entrepreneurs or start their own businesses, don't take it for granted. I don't take any of our clients for granted. I know Matt doesn't at By Your Side. I know Brian didn't at VHT, and that would be my big takeaway for people that are watching. Is like, from a client experience standpoint, don't even take the smallest details for granted.
Well, thanks for turning your cameras on. I had a feeling this was going towards a topic we could get into, and it was exactly as I thought. Learned a lot, really get some good insights there.
Yeah. Well, like Frank said for Mama Onestes, get out there, live it. My father-in-law ran a restaurant and he would eat at the restaurant every weekend, like a customer, and would say, like, hey, this is you serve this cold. You didn't serve enough of this. If you did this to me, the owner of the restaurant, like, I can just imagine what our clients are getting. I mean, think about restaurants where you go to where there's no salt on the table or they don't bring you silverware. It's like, these are simple things that a business manager, business owner should be setting as expectations.
So Brad, Brian is still fired up. This session didn't help him. We're good. So are you or am I going to stick around after we're done recording to hear Brian's ranting for the next hour or so? Who wants to?
Hey, wait, I do have a compliment. I don't know if you guys saw
Wait, Brad just froze. That's not fair. I guess it's me and you.
With that look on his face, like, Brian, come on. He's texting me.
All right, Brian, we'll let you
get off.
You made me talk. You made me hungry. Talk about Chipotle, so I got to go eat now. But I tell you what, guys, good discussion.
Wait, no, I do have one good thing to say.
All right.
About this company. I don't know if you could see my glass, but my daughter-in-law showed me these things. It's like a little koozie for a glass, but it takes all the moisture, what do you call it, condensation off the glass. It makes it a lot easier to hold. So this one's made by a company called Cosmos. Thank you, Cosmos. How about that?
There you go. One in the green column.
Cosmos might go over to the left side.
There you go.
All right, well, guys, good catching up. Until next time, subscribe.
All right.
Subscribe. We'll talk soon, and we'll catch you guys in Studio G soon enough. Cheers.
Cheers.
You've been listening to the CEO Bros After Hours podcast. To help us spread the word, please share this podcast, subscribe, and hit that like button. Looking for the video version of our podcast? Simply use the Spotify video feature or visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@CEO Bros. We're always looking to connect with our audience, so please send us your questions, comments, or topic ideas by email to suggestions@ceobros.com or connect with us through Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, or X. Simply search CEO Bros. That's CEO BROS. Thanks for listening. Until next time.